Welcome to the Vine Resources Podcast Show with your host, David Lawrence.
Welcome to another edition of the Vine Resources Podcast Show. I'm absolutely delighted to have with us today Adam Erlebacher. Adam is the co-founder and CEO at Fabric in New York. Adam, thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Adam, you got a great story. You got a great business there. Why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about your company, please?
Sure. So Fabric is where parents come to start their family's financial life. And we think about that in a really holistic way. When you become a parent, really everything changes and you need to think about things that you really never had to consider before, like getting life insurance, setting up a will, organizing your family's finances, and coordinating with your partner. And so we make that really easy. In a way, we make all of that hard stuff very easy. You've obviously, in your sort of single life, thought of checking accounts, credit cards, and all of those things, but you've never really had to think about what it means to really take care of a family over the long term, and we want to help you out with that.
Fantastic. And how does that how does your technology solution, for example, enable that and help your customers?
Sure. So it's really a one-stop shop for family financial well-being. You can download the app in the App Store, or you can use our website. And the really easiest way to get started is to set up a will. So it takes about 5 minutes. You can do it on your phone. We will run you through a series of questions. Once you're done, we'll send you a PDF. You could print that out, sign it. Today, you still need to get everything wet signed in the United States, for it to be legally binding. And then when you're ready, you can also set up a list of your financial accounts and share those accounts with your spouse or partner. That's what we call a Fabric Vault feature, just so everyone knows where everything is all in one place. And then we've also developed a life insurance product that allows you to go straight through, in most cases, without a health exam. We do it fully digitally, and really have brought a lot of modern thinking and technology to that process. Whereas before, the traditional process took 8 to 10 weeks, multiple meetings with an insurance agent in order to get coverage. So we've really rethought that process from start to finish.
Adam, what's the reason that most people, perhaps in the US, don't generally have a will in place?
I think most of it is just about apathy. There are 3 in 5 US adults who have kids, and they do not have a will. And really, the most important thing about having a will is just ensure that you have stated who the guardian of your children are. If you don't do that, a court can appoint a guardian for your kids, and I don't think anyone wants to leave that important decision to a court. So it's beyond just deciding who receives assets and whatnot. Really, the most critical thing is to name guardians for your kids.
I think that's a great point. And I know me and my wife went on a long haul flight not too long ago, and that's one of the reasons we needed to update that as well. So especially when you're on the same plane together. What about, and just finally, what about updating it? So it's always a challenge where people's life circumstances change constantly, of course, and they might need to update that. Is that something that can be done quite easily on the fly?
Yeah. So our will feature is free for anyone to set up a will. It's always free for you to go back and change it. And it's just as easy as going in and updating a few fields and getting that done.
Brilliant. Adam, look, we're going to jump in and talk more about the business and the questions, but thanks for explaining that. I know obviously your team's based out of New York. I think you've got around 35 to 40 people. Is that right?
Yeah, we're about 30 people right now.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so tell me a little bit like this. You've obviously been through a pretty amazing journey starting the business, but what does a typical day in the business look like for you as the leader?
There really is no typical day. What I like to try to do is structure my day so that you have blocks of time where you can do good uninterrupted heads down work. So I'll set aside some time in the morning to first review emails, just sort of quickly skim through and make sure that there's nothing that requires immediate attention. Other than that, I'll then schedule a block of calls and then a block of meetings. And I'll also set aside time for priority 1 projects, about 3 hours a day, where I can do like sustained thinking and heads down work. I can't sort of do that every single day, so I'll do that about 3 days a week and block off a morning or an afternoon to do that. Just making sure that you have that uninterrupted time, which I think is really critical to getting good work done.
Who perhaps has had an impact on you in your role, and perhaps how have they helped you on your journey at the company, within the business so far?
Yeah, my my first job out of school was in investment banking, and I think that was a really great sort of, I thought of it almost as like graduate school after undergrad. Learned a lot about finance, learned about really what it meant to work super hard, and got exposure to working with a lot of great clients. But what I would say is that my first job at a startup was at a company called Colloquis. And that company was an early AI company. We built bots for customer service.
Mm.
And my boss there was a guy named Steve Klein, and he really helped shape the way that I work and think, particularly in a startup environment. Steve is an incredibly smart, sharp-witted guy. And I think the most important sort of characteristic that he imparted was just the sort of bias towards action and making decisions. There are a lot of really, really smart people who work in startups and in business, but I think unless you can think quickly and make decisions, you're really at a huge disadvantage. And so it's much better to actually take a decision than to put it off until the next day. And Steve really taught me how to do that.
Fantastic. What are you doing from the top within your company to really keep your team engaged?
Yeah, I mean, we everything here really starts from the mission, and we believe that every family deserves a secure financial future, and all of the work that we do is in service of that. The culture and the people who we're able to attract really help bring that to life. And we're not the kind of organization that invests heavily in things like, we're not we know how to have a lot of fun, but we're not sort of like the ping pong table culture. We're really about making sure that people are aligned towards our mission, that we are valuing the work that we are doing and providing in the products that we deliver to our customers, and we want to make sure that the work that the team is doing is fairly compensated, and that we're working towards the same goals together. As part of that, we've rolled out OKRs. We've been doing that for a good while now. OKRs are objectives and key results. I think it's something that Google is known for. But it's something that really helps us with our quarterly planning and making sure that the objectives that we're all running against are clear, and that we're able to measure our progress against those goals with the key results on a quarterly basis.
What's the biggest challenge that you see business leaders facing right now?
I think it's always about talent and making sure that you are attracting the right people and ensuring that you're able to retain those people. And so much of that is about the mission of the company and the culture that you're able to create. It's something that we've given a lot of attention to at our company, and it's not something that you can sort of back burner ever. And certainly culture is something that you need to set early on and make sure that you are staying consistent and living up to the ideals that you've set.
Yeah, understood. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Gosh. I think a lot of it is about being able to make decisions quickly. You just need to be adaptable. If you're smart, great. But if you're not able to take those decisions and move quickly, then I think you're at a huge disadvantage. But I would say really like the most underrated power is the ability to think for yourself. So many of us can get kind of caught up in the stream of information and news that's coming at us from all sides. But the ability to sort of quiet that noise and think for yourself and make decisions is very much underrated.
Mm. What's what's the best way that you kind of help your team, your team around you look after the well-being and improve that? Is there anything that you do particularly well?
We've set up our work week so that on Wednesdays, if you want to work from home or if you want to work remotely, you
Hmm.
can.
Okay.
And so Flex Wednesdays it's actually been great for everyone. And whether or not you're a parent and you want to spend a little bit of extra time in the mornings or get home a little bit earlier, I mean it's really been powerful for us.
Hmm.
And it just allows you to take out that commute and spend time heads down thinking and working in a way that I think gets you out of your day to day.
Hmm.
I think it's also been super helpful to us as we've had to deal with the coronavirus outbreak.
Hmm.
Given that we've already got this muscle of being able to work remotely in an effective way, so
Hmm.
that's been pretty powerful. I mean, we also get together as a team for nights in. We all eat lunch together on Fridays. For us, it's really about just having the team get together. The team works super well together and is a very tight knit group. And so any opportunity that we have where we can get together and have some fun is something that we take advantage of.
What's your go-to tool for you for internal comms?
We're big on Slack. We'll
Hmm.
use Slack for both text and video. For other meetings, we use Google Meet.
Hmm.
And that's probably our preferred mechanism for video conferencing.
Okay.
And it's I think none of these tools are perfect, as anyone who's tried them has found.
Hmm.
But while we always prefer to be in person, these tools are powerful enough where I think versus maybe 5-10 years ago, we're in a much better place when we need to get work done in an effective way in a remote environment.
Is there perhaps a story that you could share from your childhood that's really influenced your work ethic in later life?
I would say just sort of generally, I was, privileged to have parents and be in a community where there were high expectations
Hmm.
for what you'd go out and do. Um, I think too often, kind of the grown-ups in people's lives, they don't have those kinds of high expectations and aren't able, for one reason or another, to provide the kind of support and positive kind of enforcement that a lot of young people need. And so, I would say that it's more than any one particular thing. It's really just about the support and love that I feel like I've gotten from, my parents, my family, my friends, and it just makes everything so much easier when you have that kind of team behind you. No
Hmm.
one's success is individually derived. We're all part of a community, and it's so critical to have people around you who believe in you and who can support you.
Absolutely. What if you had your time again, and you're a young man anyway, as it is, so it's not that long ago. But if you were giving one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, Adam,
Yeah.
what would you say looking back now?
Yeah. I would just say do hard things, really
Hmm.
challenge yourself and do that inside and outside of the classroom. Like if you're interested in technology, well, go learn to code, learn to use SQL, learn to sort of fish for yourself. If you're really scared about speaking in public, go and join, if you're in school, join a Toastmasters club.
Hmm. Yeah,
Seek
great
out
advice.
positions of leadership where you can speak and kind of challenge yourself to get over those fears. I do believe that I don't know if this was the Lord of the Rings or similar, but the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fires. And if you go out there and challenge yourself, then I think you're setting yourself up for what's going to be a lot of ups and downs in life, and it'll help you be more durable through that journey.
I meant to ask you at the start as well, because you did, or you talked earlier on about having a very clear mission. Where did the idea spring from that launched the company? What was it that
Yeah.
drove that to you to start the business?
Yeah, so my co-founder Steven Sergnier and I, we met when we were building Simple, which is a digital bank, And Stephen ran the data engineering team. I was the chief operating officer, and we were both at the same stage in our lives where we're starting families. And when we went to go and buy life insurance, we were just shocked at how arcane that process was. That you can buy pretty much everything just online these days, but if you want to go and get life insurance, it's a completely different process. In person. A lot of papers involved. Working with a broker, an agent who's really a salesperson who's trying to sell you, whatever they think is best that may net them the biggest commission. And so, we thought like
Tony Robbins wouldn't be happy with that.
We're doing our best to really just provide that transparent, easy buying experience. Because it really is a fundamentally important product for new parents. Who are just getting started in their careers, may not have the assets that their family will need for the long term in case your family were to lose your income.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, it's been great asking you these questions. Look, if people want to find out more about the business, reach out to Fabric and connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Sure. So you can find us at meetfabric.com, meetfabric.com. You can send me an email, adam@meetfabric. You can find me on Twitter, Adam Erlebacher, and would love to chat with anyone. Sure.
Fantastic. Adam, good luck.
All right. Thank you so much.
We really hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you want to listen to more exclusive tips and life lessons from our guest, go to the resources page at vineresources.com.